we have different kinds of data. That is why we have data types, and that is why data types are important. As you can see, we have 5 categories of data types. We have the text, which is a string data. We have numeric, which is int or numbers. We have the sequential data type, which is actually list or tuple. This is when we need to store the list of items, right? Basically, when we need to store data, that is a list of items, a list of programming languages, a list of cryptocurrencies, a list of users, whatever kind of list. Basically, these are sequence data type. And we also have the mapping data types. A dictionary in Python helps us create mapping data types, and these are data types that is actually made up of key value pairs. Basically, it's a data that has attributes, and these attributes are individual data on their own. We could have a single data that have different attributes, and these attributes could be made up of different data. For example, we could have a user dictionary that is made up of a name, made up of age, made up of a list of interests. Could also have a dictionary as well. So we could have dictionary of dictionaries, and so on. I will talk much about mapping in the coming videos. For another kind of data we have is a boolean kind of data, and that is where we need to store data that is either true or false, yes or no, 1 and 0, and so on. That's the boolean data type. For string data, string, like I said, is when we need to store text. So for example, we need to store a programming language, Python. This is a string data. For int data, it's basically a number. And a list data is when we need to store a list of items. We use square brackets to denote that we're creating a list, and then we'll put the items inside and separate them with a comma. So we could say Python, we could say PHP, JS, and we could say PHP. This is a list of items. This is a list data. And a dictionary data is made up of key value pairs. So this is key, and we can have value. So this is key, value, and we can have as much key value pairs as possible in a user dictionary or in a dictionary. So we can have, for example, a name key, and we can pass in a rename, and we can pass in another key value pair with age key, and we can pass in an int as the data for this value, and we can say here interest, for example, and say this is a list of items. This could be a list of programming languages, and we could say PHP here. So this is how we create dictionaries in Python. This is how we create lists in Python, and this is an int data, and this is a string data.